somewhat of uh, low energy or depression or just sadness from being inside. All I can say is that it's important to really focus on um, creating a state of security in your house. It's important to, I think, focus on things that make you happy, that looking forward to those things, and obviously what are you being able to like devote more time to right now. So it's important in my eyes to be able to focus on um, the brighter side of things versus looking at the negatives or what ifs. I'm not a big worrier, so in times where there's a pandemic, obviously there's tons that you can consider worrying about, but ultimately, paying attention of like, hey, you can spend time with more time with your family or with your kids, and really live through this moment together and be their comfort because they need it as much as you do. Um, so how are you guys doing? I mean, are you struggling with anything currently that I can kind of cover in this class specifically?
I'll go. Um, so we are actually trying to sell our personal home in
Okay.
the midst of this, and it's yeah, it's difficult. Um, we, we're in a state where we have to sell, and we've had a good amount of showings, and just the feedback that we're getting is it's small, or we don't like the fact it had one bathroom and things like that. And so it's we're having a little bit of difficulty not getting discouraged, because I know that we're in a place where we have to sell this house. We just bought a new one about a week and a half ago. We closed on it. So yeah,
You got two mortgages going
we're
on.
we have three. We have three. Yeah. We have a house that's not rented currently, although that's going to be changed this week. We've had a few people, submit applications, but yes, we have three right now. So yeah, it's I am not a non-worrier, as you put it, and there's a lot going on, and it's difficult to figure out how to balance the business and balance like taking care of my family, and making sure that I've got income coming in and things like that. So I've got a new listing coming up, and the couple is elderly, so I have to consider how are we going to have showings. I mean, the couple's in their 80s, and things like that. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Um, Obviously, with them being elderly, I think that that's I mean, anytime that you're getting traction on a listing, what I would do, and we'll go over this in more like fully, but um, once you're getting it listed, block off showings and just put, do like virtual tours, whether it be by yourself. Smooth is like a selfie stick that rotates on a what's it called? It's like a spindle, and it'll basically level out so you can pan the room, and even if your hand is uneven, then it'll automatically adjust the phone so it is always sitting up bright. It's a really easy way to kind of make sure that you're getting a nice smooth frame from one area of the room to the next. And you can just do 10-second videos of that, and then put them into like I don't know what kind of computer you use, but like Veer online is really easy to be able to make like a virtual tour with. And you can add music, you can add transitions, you can add hotspots so that people can walk to, um, and you can
What was
basically do
that called
that.
again?
Veer, Veer. And I'll share those informations with you guys so that you can kind of have some resources to be able to go back to.
I do have
Um,
just a question. Can I ask a question also?
sure, yeah.
I'm supposed to have 3 listings coming up in the next week. I haven't done virtual tours or any of them because I've been homesick and quarantined. And yes, I should
Right.
find hopefully today whether or not I had it. but I've been down for 2 weeks and I have 2 listings coming up, but all 3 buyers they'll do whatever. I mean, they'll go on the market right now, or should they wait a month? Should we wait a few weeks? None of them are like desperate to have to move. It's everything from a rehab towards West Asheville to a $650,000 house in East Asheville. None of them are desperate. What's the overall perspective on this right now? Just stick them out there anyway, or wait a month?
I think, I mean, it's going to kill your market time. But at the same rate, everyone understands kind of where the world's at. So no one's going to question, oh, this house has been on the market for 30 days. I wonder why it's still available.
Right.
No one's going to question that right now. So ultimately, the best thing that you can do is go ahead and put it on the market and make it available to where people can see the inside of the house without actually physically being there. So highlight the drive-in to the property, highlight the nearest town nearby, highlight restaurants, things to do, whether it be bars, parks, whatever the case may be, to help support certain lifestyles so that people understand what is surrounding it.
Do we have a new app? Do we have a new app for that? I heard like the neighborhood thing, or is that just with the cell phone app?
It's just the KW app.
Are any of these things linkable to your MLS listings now?
Not your MLS, but your command. You can link
for advertising
your client search to their contact and your opportunities, so you can kind of keep in tune with what they're looking at through your desktop.
Like more for because it'd be great to put a neighborhood, like everything you're saying, but there's a link right there for it.
Yeah, I mean, you can create the same app for the seller for that specific neighborhood. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
So, you can do that through the KW app, or you can just keep them in tune with what's coming live within that subdivision through the MLS, which I find more value in, just because it gives more information.
I think I got what you're saying.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So going back to the virtual tours, obviously you want to make sure that on those listings that you're providing those virtual tours. It's super easy. I'll share a link with you to, obviously you can get a photographer to make it for you. Leighton Grant is offering some special pricing right now because he understands like that's, what's needed is virtual tours.
Leighton Grant just did the photography for our personal house, actually.
Yeah, so good. That's awesome. He's great. He does wonderful work, and his costs are very competitive to even much lower quality footage. So I really enjoy working with him, and he's quick. So he'll get you in scheduled pretty quick within probably a week of needing it, and he'll get the doc or all the photos edited, videos edited, and sent over to you within 24 hours of the shoot.
Amber, did you upload that video or photos or whatever you're talking about with Leighton Grant to your MLS?
I didn't personally get a video with him on our home because we're still allowing showings on our house. But all the photos that he took are on our MLS listing.
That's what I was just curious. I wanted to see some of his work. And what is your MLS number?
I don't know the number, but the address is 30 Meadow Road.
What Meadow Road?
30 Meadow Road, Clyde.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That's where I live, so nobody stalk me.
Bye.
So with the virtual tours, just kind of going back to this so we can continue to move on. What you really want to include, I'm sorry, what's your name? I don't think we've ever met in person. Yeah.
Rebecca,
thanks. Sorry.
Sorry, my kids set me up once upon a time, and so I'm still just Mom LaFunor.
Right. It's good. I mean, I'll call you Mom if you want. But no, the virtual tours really need to consist of just a really huge outlay of the area and the drive-in, because I think ultimately, you know, the surrounding area plays a huge part in people's decision making. And then walking the property, so you're being able to kind of see the, you come on in, so you can kind of see the physical features of the property itself, whether it be wooded, whether it have, you know, yard space, you know, a creek nearby, you know, walk to the property perimeters so that you're able to really outline, like, here's how much space you have, especially if it's, you know, like an investor who may find value in building on the additional land or whatever the case may be. You want to be able to advertise this property so it hits multiple different markets and different kind of buyers who are searching for it. And then also, obviously, in the house, you know, you're not just looking for like this sparkly video of like all these great things of this house, because there's no perfect home. So we have to be realistic in what we're advertising, what we're marketing out there. So really dial in on, you know, also the negatives, you know, highlight the age of the roof, like carry around the proper disclosure and also the MLS, so that you're able to like quickly just highlight features throughout the home and things that your seller has disclosed, so that you are opening up the best opportunity to really kind of finger comb through the buyers that are looking at this property. Because you could have 20 buyers who like it and want to come see it, but realistically maybe only 5 or 6 of those would put an offer on the property. And that's your goal with these videos, is to limit the amount of people coming in the house, so you're cutting out risk and ultimately putting the health and well-being of our clients ahead of just a sale, because this virus is no joke, and it's something that we really have to put forth before, you know, the availability of home selling. So that's just a synopsis of the virtual tours. We'll actually watch a couple of virtual tours together, and you can kind of pick and choose of things that you really like and things that you can implement in your business. So also I wanted to figure out just a, you know, cool little talking point. Obviously we're spending a lot more time at home and being able to do more things maybe that we didn't create a lot of time for. So what are some things that you guys are doing right now that you didn't have time to do before, or that you didn't make time to do before? Ethan, what you got, bud?
Unmute. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
All right, cool. So what I've been kind of doing is I haven't really ever looked at my expenses altogether. So I've kind of went back and
what a time to do that too.
I know. But just seeing where I can cut back, and I've definitely saved on gas because I live an hour away.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So that's one thing that's been helping, and yeah, so doing that and just reaching out to people that I do know, because I mean, we actually have a reason to contact people, just checking in, seeing how their family is and things like that.
Sure.
So I've been contacting more of my sphere. I'm one person that just does not like to contact my sphere. I don't know why, but I've been doing a lot more of that lately.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of interested to hear what some other people are doing too. Like since we're at home, like we're not doing a whole lot of things. So that's, I mean, I went out yesterday. We went and go look at some houses with a buyer. I mean, we brought Germex with us and Lysol some stuff, and it was good. Yeah. And it was, we tried to play it as safe as we could, but I like that y'all are talking about like virtual tours and things like that, because I feel like it's going that way.
Yeah, I mean, with Charlotte already transitioning to cutting off showings and open houses for buyers, there's no way that we're gonna not be impacted in the same manner, and it's just smart. Obviously, like, real estate has a huge toll on the market, but let's be real, there's no subprime loans that are going out right now that are unstable. They're qualifying buyers who are getting qualified for loans, and we have an undersupply of homes. So we have a huge demand for more houses, meaning that the market is not going to flip as it did in 2008, 2009, because we had an oversupply of homes and improper lending, and so that created a really unstable market. Now we're going to be coming back from the deeper end and growing more as we kind of get through this recession. So there is an upside to this. You know, ultimately, it's tough to deal with, and you know, you guys just might be, you know, really dial into a budget to be able to like kind of make it through these next like 30, 60, 90 days, and just be safe, whatever you're, you know, you're looking at. You know, cut down your expenses, really dial in on your budget and what you're paying for right now. If it's something that you can, you know, take a hold off on for like the next 90 days or so, cut it out of your expenses so that you're really, you know, creating the best opportunity for you to succeed through this and be able to continue on and pick up where you left off.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I guess my big question is that if we're going to end up going the same way as Mecklenburg and not allowing any showings at all, if a listing agent hasn't done a virtual tour, it'll be difficult to sell homes to buyers. I've sold 2 homes myself, literally just through videos, so I'm really comfortable doing that. And one of them, my buyers didn't even see it until after they closed.
Yeah,
Like,
I've had 3 transactions last year that were just like that. So
yes,
it's possible.
I'm not uncomfortable. But what do we do about the fact that if we're not even allowed to do a virtual tour for someone and we can't see a home, how are we going to sell homes as buyer agents?
Sure, totally get it. So obviously, I think a lot of brokerages, just from what I've done from reading and talking to other firms, a lot of people are, you know, now revisiting this as a must, because it is. Ultimately, if they want to do business, if they want to serve their clients best, this is what you have to do. Yep. Even if it's just like a 30-second video with your phone, it's better than nothing. You know, along with the professional photos and along with just being able to talk to the realtor and discuss, you know, the house with them, the features, the downfalls, you know, the overall maintenance of the home, you know, things that, I mean, and the beautiful thing is that we're all coming together at this. Like, we had conversations with Neil Hanks, with Beverly Hanks, and we've, you know, been able to connect with them on a much larger level. So a huge camaraderie of just people coming together to share these informations on what we really need to be able to, you know, kind of see this thing through. So do I think that every agent's going to do it? No. But do I see a need in that being done? Yes. Absolutely. Huge need, just because it just breeds success on all different levels for everyone. It requires a little bit more.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're fine. I was just going to say that it requires a little bit more work, but it's worth it.
That's totally worth it.
I guess the question I had with that too was that, like, so I have buyers who are actually currently under contract kind of before it really got serious around here, and they're from Texas, and they're buying a house in Canton, and we've ended up extending due diligence and closing, but they have not seen the house. Like, they put it under contract from a FaceTime video and felt good about that, with the expectation when we put it under contract is that they were going to fly out here and see it before due diligence ended. And now their state is in a in-home, you know, in place mandatory lockdown, so they can't fly out here. So I guess my question with that was, like, with something that's like literally already under contract, like, what could we be doing as agents to be helping those clients? Because, like, they still like the house, they're not necessarily completely scared off yet, you know, but they can't, I mean, they can't come and see it.
Yeah. I mean, you said that you have not closed, right?
We are not closed. No, we extended due diligence and closing.
Okay. I mean, ultimately, you know, it just becomes a question or a conversation that you have with your clients, I think, at that point, in terms of, you know, how much, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, you know, just based off the videos, how much do you like the house? And ultimately, all you can really do is try your best to be able to provide them with the best perception of the home from, you know, your understanding of it in terms of walking through the house, you know, looking at the flooring and the baseboards and the walls and the roof and the ceiling, and making sure that, you know, the electrical is all in good working order. You're giving him the manufacture dates of all the appliances, and you know, I'm sure you guys have had like a home inspection, right?
Yeah, luckily we've had the home inspection before some, you know, more serious
Yeah.
things started going into action. So
Sure. So
Has there been any delay on home inspections because of this? Or are they going forward as normal? And do you suggest a pre-inspection?
pre-inspection is not a bad idea, just to continue to uncover any issues with the home, so that you're not getting a buyer in the door who's then scared of something and turns around and, you know, terminates, especially with possibly not being able to see those things in person. But ideally, it's I think that'd be smart. Pre-appraisals would be smart. It's just that all of those things are moving a little bit slower now. So depending on, obviously, the inspector, they may or may not still be in business. I use Ferris Home Inspections. They have 3 inspectors there that are all fantastic. And they really do a good job of like over disclosing as well. So they uncover a lot of issues that may or may not seem as big deals to other buyers, but obviously it's our job to be able to like mull through that inspection and explain it to them what's the biggest red flags out of the batch.
I had the most skeptical buyers because of this virus. They were about, I had 2 things under contract on the buy and sell side. They were doing both. So they were like, should we back out of all this and everything? And I was like, no, we're just going to take this one day at a time. And that's really all you can tell them, because nobody knows what's really going to happen. So just kind of be in the eye of the storm, and just, I don't know why, but that just keeps popping in my head. Just staying calm there for the buyers, and like using this as your moment to shine as an agent. So
Sure.
do that.
Yeah,
we closed.
I mean,
we closed yesterday.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you guys know this also, but for a huge part of closing right now is that if you guys are using Gooseman Rose Culver Kramer, they actually have an attorney that comes out to be able to issue your paperwork for your clients at home. So they can actually go to their house and be able to do closing there instead of your clients having to come out to the attorneys, which is a really cool, unique feature that they're offering, because it saves time and also the health and wellness of the clients. So not only, you know, it's not every day that you see an attorney making moves like that, so I think it's super cool and useful to be able to make your clients feel even more comfortable at home.
have they changed that recently?
Yeah,
Because I'm in a dealing with them right now, and they sent us a website to find our own notary, and that we had to do a mail away documents at home with a notary that we would hire.
Yeah, if you talk to Greg Gooseman about it, he should be able to explain it to you further.
Okay.
Yeah, he does 90% of my closing, so it's something
Yeah,
that I
he
talk
does
to him
mine
about
too.
directly.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
awesome. So we're gonna kind of continue to mull through this, because I honestly, I spent a lot of time on this yesterday, kind of putting stuff together. So a lot of it's just going to be reading off of this to you, and then I'm actually going to copy all my notes and just send it to you in the email. So why don't you guys right now do me a favor, go in the chat box and just type your emails. Obviously I have a lot of them, but just everyone go in there and type me your email real quick, just so I have it and I can send you all this information and links.
Patrick, I have another appointment, so I'm gonna still be on the chat so I can hear when I can, but I probably won't be talking as much. So just so you know.
It's fine. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Not much, at least.
I would never hurt your feelings.
I got a call come in. I'll call them back. So everyone put in their email. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. So with virtual consultations, I had 2 listings that I got signed just through virtual consultation. So I actually had the listing paperwork typed up through DocuSign. I had already obviously captured my client's information, so I had everything plugged in, ready to send out. But we talked over price. We went over through on Zoom call, and I screen shared with them so that they could see everything that's going on my screen, and just kind of went through the comps. I was able to break down, obviously, why we're focusing on this comp versus this one, and really be able to provide value electronically without having to have that risk of meeting face to face. I think a huge thing is I think it's more so respectful to not shake hands and to be able to really try for meeting electronically and virtually, just because ultimately your health your client's health and concern and well-being is of utmost importance. Obviously us as realtors, we kind of go around and meet a lot of different people. And the last thing that we want to do is accidentally spread something to someone that it could potentially hurt them, especially long term. So pushing to have these virtual consultations and discussions with clients electronically versus face-to-face is important. I think the main thing is that, elderly people are maybe not the most tech savvy. So I think it can become difficult at that point to be able to get them to do that. But everyone already has a phone. So I think it's easy to just have a phone conversation and kind of go over these things. For instance, yesterday I had a consultation over the phone with a elderly client who's looking at selling an extra lot that they bought in a neighborhood. And so I had all the listing paperwork, and I'm printing it off today and then just driving it over to them, dropping it in their mailbox. And then we're going to call later on and connect on the phone and be able to walk through line by line the listing paperwork to make sure that they are understanding kind of what they're signing and the terms and the price conditions, everything. And then being able to, pick that paperwork up the next day and, scan it in and kind of get photography and everything scheduled. So that's, a makeshift way of kind of doing your business safely. And I think that that beats, doing things the way that you have been doing them, like face to face, just because I think that provides more risk to you and to the client. I know I have 3 kids, so last thing I want to do is potentially, bring any germs or anything back to the house, or to bring things from here to someone else.
Patrick, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up, Laura?
When you said you did a screen share,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that?
I'll show exactly what I mean. So on Zoom, you have this platform. I don't know if you're on your phone or the computer, but it's for the computer. I don't know if they have it for the mobile, but for the computer, I have a button down here at the very bottom in this little toolbar where I can, I'm recording this, and then I can also open up this chat box. I can see who is participating in the chat right now as well. And then I can also do screen share. So if I click this screen share button, I can share with
I didn't
you.
know what that share meant. Okay.
Yeah, super cool. So I can share with you directly what I'm looking at. So now you're seeing, my notes on, what we're covering today.
So it'll share what you're looking at on your desktop.
Correct. So and you can
that's
like
awesome.
it's super cool. So once you are and that's why also Zoom, and you can make a free account online. So you can just go on to Zoom and create a free account, and you can chat with anyone up to 100 participants for 40 minutes for free. So
Okay.
it's super sweet to be able to use this as a tool.
I was doing MLS with a client. Super fun because they can see firsthand what I'm finding them and showing them immediately.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so
I mean,
cool.
That's
yeah,
fun.
it's just it's a really sweet tool that we have access to be able to help present what we're looking at to our clients. So ultimately, technology, is your best friend during these times. Let's see. So the KW app, obviously, it's a tool that you can use to kind of help keep your clients up to date with what's on the market, with obviously the market conditions. If you have a hard time, discussing with a seller about putting it on the market, and you can block off all showings and just allow exposure to the home. You can obviously see, how many listings are going under contract still with all this virus stuff going on. Obviously, I think those numbers will drop as showings and open houses are, canceled or restricted, should I say. But they, the best tool that you can have is just at least have all the information and virtual tours online so that buyers are able to, see your seller's property, and at least that it be exposed to the market so that once things recover and, showing houses is okay, then they're able to hit the ground running and see the homes that they like the most. So going back, Rebecca, to your question about, what to tell your sellers at the time, definitely get them to, go ahead and get the photography and the virtual tours in line so that you're able to highlight the property features, the size of the land and your land features, the drive-in, the surrounding areas, and really get that information out to any potential buyer. So right now, I'm actually going to go ahead and do a screen share with you guys just on a virtual tour. So this will kind of give you, just some good information on what to expect from a virtual tour. I have 2 of them that I can share with you. So we'll go and dive in on this. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Cool. So what was your takeaways on that?
Yeah, I'm ready to put in an offer.
Right. So remember what I said before about the like, you don't want a video just sparkle and, you know, highlighted, you know, obviously like all the good features, which is what this one did. It's just, it's you know, it kind of skipped through the kitchen and living room. You weren't even really able to like capture a full understanding of, you know, like the outlay of the living room and like the dimensions. So those things like are key to be able to kind of get out there to buyers. Is you want to have a measurable floor plan. So whenever you're getting your listing measured, get someone who also does a floor plan for you so that you can give buyers dimensions of the rooms, that you're able to really outline all the specifics in the property. Go slow with videos. I mean, it's great to have a video like this because it captures your eye. What? How you doing? It captures your eye, but in addition, it really focuses on you know, all the great features of the home, which is great for the selling point. But then you can kind of come back and have maybe a walkthrough as, you know, an agent, and just have a more detailed outline of things that your seller is like fixing, or things that came up in inspection that you're willing to like, you know, work with for buyers, or anything of the sort. Obviously don't disclose things that are going to scare off any buyers, but just be understanding of what could deter someone. So I have one more video that I wanted to share. It's just another different virtual tour. Just give me 1 minute here. And this lady's funny. You'll like her a lot.
You know, Patrick, I couldn't hear the sound on your last video.
Oh, really?
Uh-uh.
Oh. Huh. Let me see. Maybe it's because I'm not doing microphone. I'm gonna do that instead. Can you guys still hear me okay?
Uh-huh. I'll send you a chat if that happens again.
Okay, thanks. That'd be great.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Can you guys hear it okay?
No, I'm not hearing it.
You're not hearing it?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, I don't hear it either.
Second. Let's see.
Yes.
Okay. Try this now.
Hi there, I'm Joanne with Room Destination Marketing here in beautiful
hear it?
72 degree Huntington
Yeah.
Beach. And I'm that host who mentions everything that you could have just seen in the photos. Let's get started. Huntington Beach
I don't see it.
and local boys as Surf City, USA. Home to a 10-mile stretch of bikini-laden sand, world-class surfing, and OC's largest dog beach. So for all you dog
Hear
lovers,
it, but can't see it.
bitches can frolic in freedom.
Sorry,
God bless
we'll work through
America.
this.
Okay.
Trying to figure out why this is not. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Let's try it again.
There, I'm Joanne with Destination marketing here in beautiful 72-degree Huntington Beach. And I'll be that host who mentions everything that you could have just seen in the photos. Let's get started. Huntington Beach is known by the gorgeously tanned local boys as Surf City, USA. Home to a 10-mile stretch of bikini-laden sand, world-class surfing, and OC's largest dog beach. So for all you dog lovers out there, your sires and bitches can frolic in freedom. God bless America. But it's here, nestled in this masterfully planned community of bright water, that you'll find this beauty. A brilliantly handsome 5-bedroom, 5.5-bath, Cape Cod-style dwelling, 4582 Ocean Ridge Drive. Being the first built production home from the previous builder, this 4,339 square foot masterpiece has more upgrades than Joan Rivers. Everything you see and don't see is built to ridiculously high standards. Step inside and kick off those designer sandals because this place is immaculate. Stare at these stairs. Over $125,000 of custom upgrades in these steps alone. Oof. Oh, and these delectable floors, hand-hewn hardwood in a rich espresso finish. So c'est bon. Speaking of French. Holy. Look at this kitchen. Stepped into a magazine. Tall ceilings, loads of open air, fresh breezes from the Pacific, that perfect triangle layout of stove, sink, and fridge. Even if you just heated up some Chef Boyardee in the micro, you'd feel like Julia Child, only sexier. Or have your personal chef whip up some of that risotto you like in your butler's pantry, or your second kitchen. That's right, darling, second kitchen. No, you're not dreaming. This is real life. It's delicious. Let's take a butcher's at the backyard. Ah, yes. Your perennial stage for coastal views, evening dinner parties, and even those new yoga moves. Good thing you have all this added foliage for extra privacy. And I forgot to mention that your backyard just so happens to be the Bolsa Chica Ecological Preserve, a veritable mecca for bird watchers and those that just have nothing better to do. Over $110 million went into restoring this preserve, and best of all, it's not going anywhere. So when the day draws to an end and the kids are snug in their beds, dreaming of just how amazing their rooms are, it's time for some you time in the owner's suite. You have two of nearly everything. His and her vanities, 2-person tub, and dual shower. Perfect for those nights when you have lots of sand on you from the beach, which really is only about a mile away. You know, I'm just chuffed to bits about this place. It has a perfect mix of comfort and luxury. Though it has a delicate beauty, it also has the strength to handle kids, the beach, and all those parties that end up being at your place just because, quite frankly, it's these knees. The best thing about it, it's not mine. You can have it. So splash out. Treat yourself to 4582 Ocean Ridge Drive. Cheers, darling.
All right. So what do you guys think about that one?
Amazing.
Pretty
I
good.
liked your style.
So, yeah, her style was
Everything in life is a negotiation. When you cross the street,
That's right.
coffee at Starbucks is a negotiation. You're probably in 3 to 7 negotiations.
So obviously, like, she was selling that property. It's not, the property really wasn't like selling itself. Like, the house was pretty good, you know, open space, like really cool features. But I think the most attractive part is like how she displayed it. You know, her humor brought obviously a lot of comfort to just be able to, like, you know, maybe see it with a little bit more open eyes. And I really enjoyed with how she really laid things out. So that has a huge play, I think, on success when it comes to these kind of things. Just because, anyone can get in front of the camera and, casually walk through and talk about features in the home, but, are you really making it attractive for other people to see and to really watch all 4 minutes of, so that's just two really good examples of virtual tours. I had another one. I think I still have it on here.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, man.
Does anyone on here, do y'all know any like videographers like that shoot like high quality videos for, say, if you have a luxury listing coming up?
Yeah.
Who do you know?
So it depends. Like, Leighton does do things like that. He's more, I think, inclined to doing, obviously the upscale pictures where he's panning from room to room. But the more video walkthroughs, I have some contacts that I can share as well.
That would be great. I'd love to get some of those.
Yeah, man. So my friend Tim, he's pretty new to it, but he just has an eye for like the more artistic and creative side of things. So yeah. He's really good. He's affordable too. So at a time like this, where you're trying to, count all your pennies, it's important to be mindful of how much money you're spending on marketing.
Right.
So buying someone who's all inclusive on those things are important too. Someone who does photos, video, drone, whatever the case may be, to really get as much information out there as possible. But yeah, I'll share his information and we can kind of look into those things. So breaking into all this other stuff, obviously a huge thing with earnest money due diligence now is that, obviously they can, the mail is still operable. They can always drop a check in the mail. Your clients can, instead of having to actually drive it to the attorney's office, or you drive it to the attorney's office after picking it up from your client. The due diligence check obviously can be mailed directly to the seller. Obviously, in my opinion, I think having funds wired is the most secure way. And most banks now allow you to initiate a wire by over the phone. I think just by verifying personal information. There may be a few banks that don't, but for the most part, I think that they do. Due diligence, obviously just have your seller take a picture of those checks before they're mailing it out, so that they are, you can get a copy of that check. Most sellers and a lot of seller agents don't advise them to take pictures of those checks if by chance your buyer didn't take a photo of it before sending it out. So obviously to have receipt of that check, the physical check, is important. Inspections on a property, obviously people are still doing them, and I think pre-inspections would be a great opportunity to kind of outline any deficiencies in the home and be able to disclose those as well. So obviously I would advise, your clients not attending the inspection, but rather you being the liaison, so to speak, of being able to be convey, I guess, exactly what the inspector is saying and convey it to them. So what I've done actually is with Ferris Home Inspections, I'll attend the inspection, especially for clients who are like overseas or out of town or buying sight unseen, and to attend the inspection, do a video walkthrough with the inspector, kind of go over, kind of highlighting and going over the main issues that you find during the inspection. So you actually have a video of the inspector highlighting these things, pointing it out, telling him, or him telling your clients basically what they would do to remediate it, who they need to look for answers, and how to go about fixing it. Obviously, inspectors can't, give you everything and tell you how much things will cost and things like that, because that's a lot of liability on their end. But it's notable for them to hear that directly from the inspector versus you saying, here's what I saw, and conveying it that way. I think a lot of buyers, the more validity that they have, especially at a time like this where there's so much that they're not seeing, hands-on,
the more validity they have, the more secure they feel about their decision. Let's see. Obviously, the inspection reports will come typically, I think, like the same day, just later that day. At least that from what I've seen, at least 12 hours of the inspection. And then once you know, both parties have it, then you can review it electronically over the phone and even screen share to be able to like create a repair request. So closing time, we already covered this, but you know, GRCC offers that, you know, obviously they can bring the closing to you, and or you can find a notary on hand. We do have some at KW, so you know, you can always reach out to those people individually and see if they can act as a notary for you. Let's see. And then once the closing has been electronically recorded, obviously us as agents can go pick up the keys and then hand deliver it to our clients. So a lot of good information just based on that alone. I did a lot of homework yesterday just in terms of how big of an impact obviously this is having, COVID-19 is having on our real estate market. And I think it's pushing technology and, you know, in a really strong direction, which is cool because what is the one thing that Keller Williams has really been focusing on is tech. So I think more so we are living in a time where we're going to see a lot of expansion and a lot of pivoting to be able to match, you know, the need of our market, which is all what Shift is about. If you guys haven't read Shift by Gary Keller, it's the best book. It teaches tactics basically on how to handle and pivot your business in a shifting market, which is exactly what we're in. So I have some notes that I took on a site, and I'm just going to go over those, or based off of a site that I read and just some other things I cumulatively brought some information together to be able to like convey to you. So virtual reality and its role in real estate is expanding just due to the coronavirus in general. Social distancing and mandatory closings have changed, obviously on a daily basis since the coronavirus outbreak, and we've had to adapt to continue to keep transactions moving forward. In virtual reality, virtual tours provide obviously a way for buyers to continue their property search from their homes. It's kind of a scrubbing process also for, on a seller standpoint. If you're representing the seller, you're understanding, you know, which buyers are actually serious and notable to, you know, possibly show the home to, depending on their interests and, you know, their qualifications towards wanting this kind of property. So the resources out there that really help support your business at this time is Zoom, Google Hangouts, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, obviously through posting those virtual tours through the Canopy MLS, and then also through your personal KW site or your other real estate webpage. So we can obviously use these tools to orchestrate open houses, to obviously post your virtual tours on your websites or through your YouTube page. We also have a virtual tours Facebook group now to where you can post it on there, and that's open to the public. So not only is it KW agents, but anyone who is looking to explore virtual homes or virtual tours of homes. And our main goal is just to share the property information as factually as possible, make it realistic, and disclose as much as you can. So conventional open houses are obviously not the way to go right now. So Facebook Live or YouTube Live is a good way. You know, schedule an open house just like you would, but make it, you know, to where people know that it's a virtual thing, to where you're going to be getting on Facebook Live or Zoom to be able to go over just the tour of the house, so that people who may not have seen it before, you know, can see it specifically at that time. Let's see. So a lot of cool information has kind of come to surface about the transition of, you know, people who are buying people who bought and toured homes traditionally to people who are buying now sight unseen. Obviously, these numbers a lot of them are coming from like international real estate agencies. But I think it was eye-opening to me either way, because I think we're behind the curve. Obviously, a lot of other countries were affected before us, and now that we are kind of following the trend of our numbers doubling pretty much every other day, we're now seeing an impact on our market and it shutting down the capability of seeing homes in person. So in February, there was about 350,000 virtual tours per day by Chinese real estate agents and buyers. And that was about 35 times the amount of virtual tours in January. So significantly more, just in terms of the exposure and people converting to that as a necessity to be able to like still do business. So we've seen the same in San Francisco and LA and much larger, higher densely populated areas that the coronavirus has naturally attacked a little bit harder. New York, LA, Washington State, those areas have really drawn in hard to converting over to virtual tours. And just to kind of give you guys a insight on like the power of these things, is this Chinese builder from Modern Land live streamed a sales pitch and to prospective buyers, and it generated over 600 contracts in just one day. And so you can see that there's tons of buyers still available. Obviously this is out of China, so I understand, but this is something that I think that internationally people are switching over to, and I think that we're going to see the trend follow here. Obviously we're in the very beginning stages of this virus, and I don't anticipate it necessarily slowing down within the next 2 weeks. So you can anticipate that the virus itself is also going to increase its hold on the market and how we react to it. Do you guys have any questions about that? So I did a little feature here on the technology and the impact on the future of real estate. So video tours and virtual reality are becoming more common, but they also need to be more realistic. So again, not just highlighting all the sparkly, shiny things that make you ooh and ah, but also the things that, are realistic matters that buyers look for. You need to make sure that it's, more nitty gritty and granular, so that people can see the baseboards and watch someone, turn on the faucets to make sure they work, open up the cabinet doors, feature the inside of the refrigerator, go over the age of appliances. Technology means that you can make everything look perfect, but at the same rate, you want to make sure that buyers are understanding, the defects and the more detailed areas around the house as well, so that they can get the full experience. There's no perfect home, so we need to make sure we highlight that. So obviously this is right now, I think the way technology is set up is just to kind of keep the conversation going and generate interest in properties, but there's really pent up demand that will generate more sight unseen purchases depending on how long everyone needs to continue this social distancing. And that's where I was going back earlier with the impact of virtual tours and virtual reality and listings right now, is that there is a huge demand for it because there's so many buyers who are still looking, and a lot of homes still on the market that need to sell. So depending on how this is impacted in our local market, or how the coronavirus impacts our local market will determine, kind of where this goes and how quickly, this will really be a key fixture in our business.
So Patrick, I love that point you made. And you mean more like when you're previewing a property for a potential buyer, you'd be scrutinizing it more versus like the common marketing of the property. That's when you're more like, look at, this is a great property. And am I getting that right?
Yeah. I mean, we're not car salesmen. Like, we're not here to just highlight, all the bells and whistles of it. Buying a house is not cheap, and it's a large investment for most, large investment that they'll make throughout their entire life. So it's not anything small. And when you're looking at, doing these virtual tours and potentially someone, putting a ton of money into something that they haven't seen yet, it's important that we highlight everything in the property as best as we can, just to be able to clear up any questions and just be able to get the most out there.
Yeah, the promotional videos we just watched, honestly, there's probably not one thing wrong with that property, especially that last one. So it was more easy just to talk about how amazing it was because it was just cream of the crop.
Sure. Yeah. And, at the end of the day, there's a lot of older homes here in Asheville. So naturally, we're going to be facing more issues. And it's not just all sparkles and sunshine. You're going to have to, focus on the fact that, like, hey, you may drive by a few trailers on the way here, but look how private it is once you get here. Look at, how much land there is, and, building a privacy fence around the front of the yard would really cut out a lot of, your concern over people seeing into your yard, or, being able to like observe from the road, things like that, just adding in hints and tips that from your perspective as a real estate professional of what, you would do as a homeowner to be able to increase that property, to be able to like kind of mold it to be exactly what they're looking for. Because ultimately a lot of buyers, they see these issues that are really small in perspective, but they make them into bigger deals than what they need to be, without understanding that, like, hey, the majority of areas here, were not zoned properly. And so, you'll see tons of trailers on these back roads with junky yards, but then a really higher end neighborhood right down the street. And you get that all over the place here in Western North Carolina, just because that's, the kind of the environment that Western North Carolina is. So you have people moving from New York. They need to understand those things because they haven't seen it before like that. So I think marketing it in such a way to where you're just getting the majority of the details out there will open up the doors for the right buyer to come across, and tour the house. I'm not saying, obviously, until we get shut down for showings, to not show properties, but just do it smart. I bought, and you can buy these online still. They're still available on Amazon for 2-day delivery. But they have like the boot covers, the shoe covers that they wear in like, hospitals. You can easily just buy a box of those, a box of like 100 for like $15, I think, is it on Amazon, and have those at your listings. Attend every showing so that you are opening up the doors. Bring gloves for all the parties involved. If you don't know where to buy gloves, look into like Advanced Auto Parts or O'Reilly's, AutoZone. Those places have like gloves that you can wear to be able to bring to showings, and just to be able to eliminate transfer of germs and bacteria from one person to the next, or from the person to the property. Face masks, I found some Ace Hardware, Lowe's, Home Depot, I think that they're all now back in stock. And if not, just call around before you just, get out and drive to be able to go find them. But they are out there, and just have those on hand to be able to hand out to the buyers. And then you physically walk them through the property, opening up doors, and, you kind of being their hands, so that you're eliminating any potential risk of, any germs or bacteria spreading from them to the house, or for the house to them. Like, you're there to help release liability ultimately. So I have a different form of virtual reality. This is more like higher end stuff. So I'm not quite sure, like 3D walkthroughs with a 360-degree panoramic camera, or virtual reality actually with the virtual reality like headset, the goggles that you wear to be able to like actually kind of physically walk through the home. That would be, the most creative, immersive experience that you could offer to a client, but they would have to own their own virtual reality headset, and they're not cheap. So it's not something I would typically recommend doing, but obviously if you're selling like a, $4 million modern home, it may suit you best to be able to like provide those. So Matterport is, I think, the number one go-to for 3D walkthroughs, but there are many different other like methods and platforms that you can use to be able to have these done. So Matterport's pretty expensive, but then I think I have this link here that I'll send you right now, and you guys can just watch it later. Go ahead and click on, I just sent it in the chat box. So go ahead and click on it and just open it up in a different window, but then come back to this chat so that you can just have that open. You can watch it later. And then I also have this one, which you can do the same, just open up a separate window with that link and then just watch it later. But those are like guided visits, like 3D tours, which is basically where it's self-guided through the house. You talk about like the living room and then the kitchen, and just transfers over to the dining room, and then from the dining room to the bedrooms and bathrooms to upstairs and the other features, office space, etc. And then you also have the interactive visits where you have the hot spots, so like the little circles that you can click on, where you're then being able to like stop in one area and pan around the room. Interactive visits and guided visits are the most popular types of virtual tours. And then here's also just a link to Matterport, and that is the most creative. I'm sorry, not the most creative, but it's just really good information on what exactly is involved with Matterport. Virtual staging is something also that is, I think, necessary, especially if you're working with a vacant home. It's really hard for a buyer to envision what a home would look like with furniture, what furniture would fit. Again, this comes back on the necessity of having a floor plan done, having dimensions drawn out, so that they understand that, like, hey, they need at least whatever the case may be, 8 feet wide for their queen size bed and nightstands to be able to fit on one of the walls. And it just comes down to that. And virtual staging, you can put in furniture to where people can see kind of what potential layouts they could have in the room. Obviously we all have different kind of furnitures, so I think it's important to be able to like outline those things. So for virtual staging, here is a link for the best virtual staging software. And obviously this is something that you can do. This is something that a real estate photographer could do. Leighton Grant does it. So anyone that you guys are, looking into exploring business with, obviously, have this in your conversations. You know, do you do virtual staging? Because it takes some time to do it, and you want to make sure that you're doing it well to be able to best display the property. Let's see. So going back to the benefits, obviously, of, you know, using this kind of tech in real estate is that it eliminates risk. At least right now with the coronavirus, we don't want to have any unnecessary risk involved when it comes down to people shopping for real estate. Obviously, seeing things firsthand, you know, driving your car versus watching a video of someone else driving the car makes a big difference. But this opens up doors in terms of being able to provide, as best as we can, a visual of what the home looks like from the inside out and the surrounding areas. So saving time is number one. And, you know, along with saving time is eliminating risk. This really allows a solution for both client and realtors. There's no need, you know, to travel from property to property. If you can sit back and watch these tours, but in addition, in the time that we're in with the coronavirus, we're reducing risk and putting health and wellness above anything, which is most important, because we have to do our social duty also and not spread any germs or bacteria. So also having these virtual tours, the reason why it saves time is that literally any time someone can go in to these listed properties and, you know, look around at any time on the clock, any time of the day. They're able to kind of go in and view these virtual tours and watch, you know, the different features of the home and what it all provides. So emotional connections. Number two is that these virtual tours and detailed outline of the property really helps clients visualize the property. You know, you're not just kind of walking out of the property like you would physically. You can watch this video over and over and over again to be able to make sure that you're gaining understanding of the outlay, the potential of your furniture fitting into that home, you know, the ups and downs, you know, if it has anything structural, if it has, you know, if it needs a new roof, like, you know, those things, that you're able to take that in consideration from one house to the next. And then obviously the immersiveness of virtual tours really creates like an emotional connection for people, because, you know, it gets people excited. It makes them engaged, and it's a lot more effective than just, you know, regular 2D images that are, you know, stretched or highlighted, and, you know, they only focus on like one main feature. These virtual tours, you really are inside the house, being able to move around, so to speak. So it's a lot more engaging. It offers a lot more ability for people to do the research. If you're disclosing all the information and giving everything to the buyer up front, they have no further questions about it, unless that, you know, they're really interested. Then they may have more detailed questions about the property, which then you can start negotiating terms and looking into them, you know, writing an offer on it. So at no point in time is this easy. You know, it's all going to be extremely time consuming up front, but that's the beautiful thing, is that if this is going to be the next 30 to 90 days, then why not spend a full day doing these things, or a full 2 days doing these things, when it's going to benefit you for the next 30 to 45. It just makes sense to be able to put as much effort up front so that you are giving your clients the best option of this house selling, potentially sight unseen, or at least for whenever we get through this and we're able to start showing homes again, and, you know, everything's a little bit more up and running, then all the buyers who have saved this house and want to go see it can. So obviously we can only, another cool thing is that we can only see so many properties and work with so many clients because of time. Virtual reality can kind of help change this. Obviously, with the amount of home tours and virtual tours and virtual open houses that we have available to us, the less time you're having to spend on each particular client, you're really able to like draft a really nice email with like, hey, here's all these houses, here's the links to the virtual tours. Like, you know, after you watch them, let me know what you think. And then you can kind of go from there. So you're limiting your time, you know, really spent on, you know, buyers who are like looking, but rather you're just giving them the tools and materials and information needed for them to make the most informed decision. And then you have talking points from there. You know, it's expensive to be able to do all these things. At least it's more expensive than just standard photos. If you're looking at virtual staging, obviously any tier that you're going up is, you know, costs a little bit more money, which is okay, because the real investment here is providing this value and allowing a buyer the opportunity of seeing the house and really exploring it without actually having to physically go see it and put anyone at risk. And the instant sense of ownership is powerful. Obviously, you can nudge clients towards making a purchase or signing an agreement, and that can be like the most challenging risk. But now, with virtual reality and home tours, they allow clients to virtually like visit properties when they want and for as long as they want. And this establishes a sense of personal connection and ownership to the property. So along with that, obviously, you know, when it comes to the house, like, great, I love the house. Like, how do we proceed? You can add on, obviously, with all the information that you send them, mortgage calculators and contacts to be able to like go ahead and start filling out the necessary information needed for attaining a pre-qual letter, and also information about other properties and descriptions of neighborhoods that are like kind to the one that you're showing them. This will ultimately just help all your clients get the information that they need about the properties before contacting you and asking to arrange like real visits to the house or apartment that they like the most. So when showing homes, obviously, you know, mind your P's and Q's, shoe covers, hand sanitizer, Purell wipes, Lysol spray, do whatever you can to eliminate, you know, the possible spread of any germs or bacteria. Obviously, I think as buyer agents, you know, you take the upper hand and open up all the doors and cabinets and things, explain these things to them. Obviously, the safety and concern of all parties involved, that, you know, ultimately you would love for them to be able to kind of go through the house just as if it's their own, but because of the current situation that we're in, you know, we need to take a more cautious approach and allow me just to open up, you know, the doors and cabinets and appliances to be able to eliminate that risk. And that's really it from my notes. You know, if you guys have questions about anything that we talked about or protocol procedure, kind of how I'm doing it, feel free to ask. Laura, you and Rebecca are the only ones here.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. I learned a lot. Thank you, Patrick.
So I have all your emails, so I'll email all my notes to you, just so that you have all those links and everything that I posted and that of the YouTube videos that we watched. And then, you know, if anything comes to mind about like, you know, procedure and how I'm doing things and how I'm meeting clients and scripts I'm using to be able to conquer any objections about, you know, buyers wanting to write offers on properties sight unseen or anything like that, you know, just feel free to reach out personally. I think you guys both have my information.
Yeah, absolutely will. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And if not, Rebecca, here is my email and phone number. You can always give me a call. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have. So you're welcome to go and sign off and just continue business as usual. Obviously keep all these details in mind, pick and choose from, whatever I presented to be able to implement. And if you have questions about doing it and how to do it, just, or, if you need contacts or anything like that, just feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you so much, Patrick.
Hey guys, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.